Yay! All right.
We're here.
Yes, we are here. So I am here with Jimmy and Courtney. And actually, I was thinking when we were in the kitchen, I was like, I knew you separately for a really long time, and I loved you both. And now I have you together. I think I love you guys more. I was thinking about that. I was like, when we were kind of reliving some things. So there was a spectacular article in the State Journal Register. Stephen Sperry.
Super guy.
I have like newfound faith in the SJR after reading that.
And I got to be honest with you. In my line of work, sometimes you're skeptical with print media because when you say something over the phone to somebody, they go back and they write really what they want, and you really never know what's going to come out. It's different when you're on camera,
right?
Right. It's scary sometimes, but I think I may have a biased opinion, but I think he did a really good job.
He did an amazing job, and he really captured kind of the essence of the gift and the things that you guys went through.
Right.
So, and I'm super pleased to kind of piggyback on that because I think there still is something special about talking to people in the spoken voice. So
I agree.
So for those of you who have not seen that article, SJR November 24th, Stephen Sperry. But we wanted to talk a little bit about what led up to that article. And basically, for some of you who are not familiar, Jimmy and Courtney lost their daughter in a tragic accident actually a year and a half ago. Right. And a series of events ended where she became a gift of hope to others. Right. But I wanted to get back to just kind of that prom day, because we've all had prom days with our daughters, right? Getting your hair done.
Starts at like 7 a.m.
Right, the dress and everything.
The spray tan.
Yeah, so you guys did the spray tan too. Yeah.
The nails, the hair.
The hair.
So really, I mean, that
was
just kind of a beautiful day. She was pretty excited.
And I'm going to back you up just a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, and just to kind of keep one thing that it started the day before that for me, really, because in New Berlin they had their prom crash reenactment.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. So I was telling Courtney and the girls that I'd be in New Berlin doing that for New Berlin that year, and we do those for a lot of schools, and we talk about distractive driving and drinking and driving and doing
texting,
good decisions on prom night kind of thing. And so I actually went and did the prom crash reenactment at Maddie's school the day before she passed. So doing that and seeing her and talking to her there and having to be in front of the entire student body and give my spiel like I normally do, and then Maddie being her, silly self. Yes.
Did she raise her hand?
Absolutely.
What did she say?
Afterwards, I said, "Is there any questions?" And we're all here for you. The first responders were lined up, and I saw her hand go up, and she said, "Mr. Allman," and I said, "Okay." I said, "Everybody," I said, "This is Maddie." I said, "She's my stepdaughter." And I said, "What's up, Maddie?" And she goes, "How long have you been the chief deputy coroner?" And she's just kind of asking questions she knew the answer to be silly and to
spotlight.
Right. So that's for me. I think there's some, for lack of better verbiage, some irony. Because the chances of me going to a prom crash reenactment at my stepdaughter's school
to save someone,
right? It's a full car wreck,
right?
I mean, the whole
we have
everybody. It's a full
hair,
production.
The makeup, everything's done to look as if these kids were in a wreck,
right?
And to have our daughter be the girl or the one that happens to, I tell people often that I don't know what those odds would be if I mean, hundreds of thousands to one. I have no clue.
Well, and we have to let people know. I mean, she's a good girl. She wasn't drinking.
Oh, absolutely. No.
She didn't have nicotine.
Right. She'd been up all night because it was an after prom safe.
Yep. They stayed up till 5 a.m.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know this too, but she stayed at the gym
Right.
with everybody and helped clean up after prom,
Yes.
and then left when the principal and everybody left. So she was doing everything right. You know, straight A student, beautiful girl, you know, the loudest one in the room, and I mean, just funny. That's why I tell a lot of people, you know, about,
Sarcastic.
yeah, she's just super funny. And,
Where
and
she gets that
Uh,
sarcasm.
Do you remember, Matt, I said tonight, as I was pulling, I said, oh my God, it was Maddie and Nikki Florence that ran me in on my Olympic.
Oh, that's
She-
right.
You ran with me, and then she met you, and she ran me home. I was like,
for your triathlon,
isn't that?
yeah.
I just, as I'm pulling onto your street, I have the
I
pictures.
do remember that.
We have,
I was like, run your mama in.
yes, and
yeah,
you
I
handed
do
it
remember
off,
that.
and I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah, I
it
do
just
remember
blows.
that.
But I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
She's a lot
Don't
of
really
really
know.
good memories.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that's where things kind of,
Right.
you know, got started with this event, was the
Right.
prom crash reenactment, and then, you know, moving forward, she leaves the gym, she
Mm-hmm.
goes to her friend's house, drops her friend off, and
Well,
it's-
she goes into her house.
Yeah,
and said,
yeah.
yeah, she was gonna stay
she
the
was going
night.
to stay there, or stay the morning. I mean,
Yeah,
it was,
she was,
Right.
it was
it was
7
7 a.m. Yeah,
Yeah.
so then she decided to go home and sleep
7:30.
because it was
was
she went
tired.
up, she wanted to be in her own bed. I
She
think.
went up for 24 hours. Then she got hypnotized. In the video, I mean, she fully, it was the cute, they had her dancing.
Oh
and
yeah.
Oh
And
my
the
god.
after prom's got a lot of
after
good
prom,
videos of
and
Maddie
it was
that night.
so
Yeah.
So she was
awesome.
happy.
She was so happy. Like, it was hard, but I mean, she was so dancing, and it was hilarious, wasn't it? And
Yeah, she's funny anyway. That is
yeah, but they have
Mhm.
all these videos and all these pictures, and her and her sister started. Then she was mad at him that she re-snapped friend requested them, and so they had
Right,
all
right.
these. That's what they kept
Mhm.
saying. They had all these pictures coming over throughout the night of her at this
Right.
prom and how happy she was. So those are the things
Good.
that
Good
yeah,
memories.
good.
And for some of you who don't know, I mean, you work for the coroner's office. So
Right.
when
He
those
was on
calls
call.
come in,
Mhm.
you get those calls.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so you got that call.
I did, and like.
It's just a normal Sunday.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, we've been through those
Yeah.
Sundays,
Mhm.
lots of those Sundays over the years, and I remember my phone going off. I was talking to the dispatcher, and
7:35.
yeah, and they said you've had a motor vehicle incident. It's
Mhm.
actually by your house, Jim,
Yeah,
is what he said to me, and he said you want to head that way? There's one
Mhm.
fatality, and they're gonna be waiting on you. I said, yeah.
I remember saying, really, you're gonna do orange rolls or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's when I got up like I always do, got dressed real quick, and told Courtney where I was going, and I remember, I think he told me, he said, "Be careful, and I'll see you when you get home." And I think I got out the door and almost to my car, and then I heard Courtney inside at the house. She was just received a
My cell
phone
phone
call.
rang and it said Richard Finch, which is my ex-husband, and I thought, oh, his phone died.
Mm-hmm.
But I just had this feeling, and he said, Courtney, there's been an accident. I said, no. He said, there's been an accident. And I said, okay. He said, Maddie was in an accident. And I said, no. And I said, who died? And I wouldn't believe it. And I remember screaming, and I remember we have an A-frame. I jumped like the second story, and I just remember screaming no. And I don't remember much after that. I know I made him get in a car, and we drove.
So you rode with Jimmy?
I said I wouldn't believe it. I said she didn't know who died.
Okay.
And then we got to the end of our road, and he finally got my ex-husband to say it was Maddie.
Well, that's Courtney's. That was her, and the whole time this was going
Yeah,
on.
this
Right.
is over minutes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I don't
My-
remember.
my phone.
I don't like it. There's weird.
Right.
I don't
After she had,
Mm-hmm.
remember.
Mm-hmm.
after she had told, after I was told that there was an accident, I got another phone call from somebody else telling me, hey Jimmy, why don't you let somebody else handle this one?
Oh,
Hey,
so they
yeah.
had kind of.
They were trying to
Right
sort of
as I was
divert,
screaming.
and this is all going on at the same time,
Yeah,
and
just
I'm on
yelling.
call, and there's an accident, but I started, see, the Illinois State Police
Right.
went to her ex-husband's house
Right.
because
Right.
the car was registered
There was a
that
police
she was driving.
officer
Was,
on the way home,
and,
came on the wreck, didn't he? Or something.
there was a couple, three,
Yeah.
but so I was, there were, ISP, Illinois State Police was calling from his house and talking to dispatch and me, and
She was like not even a mile from home.
yeah, and so there's like I said, there's a lot of things going on, you know,
Right.
and all within just a few minutes, and I remember Courtney, yeah, you told me to
You were
get
screaming.
right, you told me to get in the car and that
I
you
didn't
wanted.
believe it. I really, because it's Maddie. She was hit by a drunk driver the prior October 2016.
I do. I remember
At Brook
that.
Hills.
I remember that.
And
Yeah.
total
Totaled the
smashed
car.
her
Mhm.
car in.
Mhm.
You know, and I was right there. She called me, and she's calling me, and I'm writing in, Mama, you're fine. Mama, I'm fine. I'm like,
I do remember
and so
that.
I didn't believe it because she's so strong.
And she had survived that one.
It's just
Right.
nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I'm talking not even a scratch.
She,
Mhm.
and we talk about this a few times. We had stopped halfway down
Mhm.
We
the
did.
road.
Right down the end of our lane, and he wouldn't in it.
I made
Yeah.
I didn't go out there to the scene.
Okay, I was gonna ask you.
No, I didn't want to
Yeah.
go. I didn't want
Somehow
Courtney
God
to go.
intervened
Yeah.
because
and,
he
yeah.
was supposed to. The fact that
Yeah.
all those calls were made.
Right.
Like I said, I kind of started to put two and two together
Mhm.
in that short period of time.
Right.
All those phone calls were going on, so I really didn't. I mean, I didn't need clarification from
Right.
anybody.
I knew.
You know, I kind of knew, but I just didn't really. I didn't know what to do, and it's so different because I couldn't tell you in 16 years of doing what I do how many times I've gone out to
Right.
motor vehicle accidents, the night of prom, the day after prom, just at all times during the year.
Or even some people that you might have known over the
He
years.
Sure.
has to go get,
Right.
Sure.
doesn't know and show up and get babies and
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
know that are
Yeah.
I
So when you, when all of that went down, and then you had that kind of, I don't know, forethought or foresight, about the gift that she could give,
Right.
He did everything.
because you only have so many hours
You do. There's,
to be
you know,
able to
donation
preserve
is-
donation.
it's time sensitive for sure, and
You think
I-
I was like in my bed I just remember I was, or was I don't remember.
you were upstairs, and I remember.
Like 1 hour.
Yeah, I mean it was probably
Like
less than
90?
that. Yeah,
Mhm.
I remember calling Roy Mayfield. He's a manager with Gift of
Yeah.
Hope. I remember calling him on his cell phone, and
Mhm.
I always tell people I think I scared him, because I called him and I was like, obviously didn't sound like myself. I was distraught. I said, "There's been an accident." I said, "Maddie's."
Oh,
Nice.
Harley wants to give you some love.
Oh,
Aw.
We'll bring Wrigley over. He comes on strong.
and I just told him that we lost Maddie, and I think there's time. I think
Because what is the time frame from an accident like that to be able to?
I think they have to be in refrigeration within 12 hours.
Okay.
And the death has to be
Mhm.
the death has to be
Mhm.
witnessed.
Right.
You can't come across somebody
Right.
who may have been gone longer than that
Right.
time period. So
Mhm.
there's certain guidelines that they
Sure.
go by and stuff. So I knew that I was pretty sure we were still within that
Yeah.
time frame, and I just wanted to make sure that if there was an opportunity that we didn't pass it up. And
Because she hadn't really put that like on her driver's license. You guys hadn't really talked. I mean, like even
No.
after that last accident, you hadn't really talked
No,
about it.
because
Okay.
you don't. She was giving, so we just
Mhm.
knew. you know.
that would be what she wanted to do. And with her gift, how many people
Well, I've
has
heard,
she been able
I've
to
heard,
touch?
I've heard 70,
Yeah.
70 people.
Which
Yeah,
is-
there's a gentleman that.
It's astounding.
It is, and I was talking to a few people the other day, and there's a gentleman that was at the hospital here in town that got her heart valves.
Mhm.
You know, there's been several people that have gotten, you know, ligaments and some skin grafts, and you know the long bones, the tissue.
Baby.
There's a 5-year-old girl in New York that was blind and received one of Maddie's corneas.
Maddie died Sunday. The little girl, she would have turned 17 on May
Maddie would
15th.
turn 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
So on May 15th, a 5-year-old received her cornea and had been blind.
Mhm.
So that's
There's another guy in Illinois that received one of her corneas.
Awesome.
That he was blind and he has the gift of sight now. So.
I mean, I have to ask, does it help?
you know.
I just couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
It's-
No,
It's weird for me.
Mhm.
It does. Like I'm like, oh my god, you know. If I now could have known that I could have donated her hair, I would have. I like knowing she's out there. You know, she's able to help because that's like, she had the biggest heart. She was the loudest in the room. But I had no. She loved kids that were challenged.
Mhm.
That was her thing, and I don't know, she just loved to help them, and all these people that came up and said that they didn't really know
Mhm.
that they're, you know, they didn't know him, but Maddie befriended their child who had Asperger's or autism,
Right,
and
right.
they never had felt part of the school, and because of Maddie, they felt welcomed, and I was like, you know, because you see your child at home, you
Mhm.
see your
Oh,
child.
yeah. Right, right. But you don't know what they're doing out in the world.
No, and I was like,
Mhm.
oh my
So this is
gosh.
kind of an amazing extension
Yeah.
of what she was already doing.
That's
I was stepdad, so I have.
Yeah, but you can't discount it.
That's
that
right.
parent. Because you know
No,
what?
no,
You choose to parent. You don't
That's-
have to.
Sure, no,
Right?
absolutely,
That's a choice.
and I feel like I need to preface, you know, everything I say by saying I'm just, you know, stepdad, you know,
I don't
and
think you
know.
have to.
I know, but
Either.
I know that if she was able to make that decision that day,
Mhm.
that I think all I did was facilitate it for her.
Right, right.
No, I don't think that Maddie would have said, you know what, you know, let that 5-year-old girl in New York or this other guy go.
Right,
You know,
right, right.
I don't think she was that type of person. I don't think
Right.
I would have done anything. Right. I don't think I would have done anything any differently
Right.
that day. And I got to be honest with you, and it was hard enough. I mean, the situation we were in, and everything coming to a head like it did. But going up those stairs and having to have that conversation
Right.
with my wife, and like I say again, I'm stepdad. She's just
That's
lost.
her child.
She just lost her daughter.
Right, right.
And I have no clue what that feels like,
Mhm.
and I don't ever pretend to. But going up there and having that conversation with her
Mhm.
was the scariest thing, and the
And
most.
I didn't know why. I was like, oh, yeah.
Well, she was.
She's like,
I mean,
yeah.
nothing at all. She didn't bat an eye. She said absolutely.
Yeah.
And
I
I
didn't
said,
know
well,
she could. It was like,
I said, well, we can do this. I did the homework ahead of time. I already
Right,
talked to Roy
right,
Mayfield.
right.
I called the lady with Saving Sight as well. Her name's Erica Green.
oh,
She was
that's
managing.
sweet.
Yeah,
Oh,
she,
Erica. I
Yes,
know Erica.
yes,
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 yes.
yes,
Yeah.
and she's phenomenal. So I called her too, and I said, can we do this? And
Mhm.
they both were
They asked for
on
Maddie's
board, and
pajamas, and
oh,
they treated her
Mhm.
they put her in her pajamas after her
Mhm.
procedure, and they kept asking me to see her, and I didn't want to at the
Right,
time. And but they did. They just treated her like she
Mhm.
was very special.
Well, she's an angel.
That's
right.
it was wonderful. They're such special people.
And I have to tell you that benefit. Are you guys doing that every year?
No,
Oh,
We
darn!
are.
It was one of my. I mean,
they had. Oh, Nikki.
I mean, I just think as a community to come together and that benefit, that
people were so giving.
I was so.
We gave away
I was so,
$9,000.
well, the first year.
So
and we've still-
$9,000
The first
scholarship
year.
in Maddie's name.
Yes,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
And then
and
where is
we
this?
still have CDs stacked up
Right.
over the next 5 years
Right.
to give away to senior cheerleaders.
Right.
For
And
Abby?
yeah, up until
Abby graduates.
Maddie's youngest sister Abigail will graduate in 5 years from New Berlin.
Wow.
So we'll be able to give Maddie's scholarship away every year while Abigail is in school, and we never have to have another fundraiser.
Right.
I mean, we raised
But I want you
20,000.
Okay, well, let me put it this way.
You gotta come to the paint night. That's what I said, we gotta come small.
But this is what was really special about that event, and just everybody. I mean, the
No.
diversity, and there was not one ill word. There was not one complaint. Everybody was so loving, and I think
Both families
if
were there.
you can bring that
Yeah.
karma together, and then people leave and spread that
Mhm.
out into
That's-
the world in Maddie's name.
Right.
Yeah,
I've thought
Yeah.
about that. I just,
it was an amazing day.
it
I'm
was
glad.
so
I'm so
nice.
It was
glad.
an amazing day.
And I always said this, that if we did something like that, it was one and done.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go back to the well, so to speak. You know what I mean? And
Right.
and we wanted to utilize that not
Mhm.
only to honor Maddie, but and to do something for her. Because I got to be honest with you, you know, I've talked to a lot of those girls that were Maddie's friends and you know that would have graduated with Maddie. That you know they really got hit hard when they lost their friend, and you know they were really close with her, and that whole community took a blow,
Right.
and it's much larger than us, and we talk.
She brought so many people together, like you said,
Mhm.
at that golf outing.
It,
I mean,
it was astounding.
she took anger. You don't understand. She brought in my own family alone. My aunt, uncle, and my nephews. They brought cousins that had never seen other cousins for 4 years. She brought families together, and she
There was so many astounding things that have happened since we've lost her, and a lot of that to us is and especially
Our
Courtney,
girls,
and it's
she-
bittersweet. I mean, you know,
Yes.
you think about, you know, her funeral. There was, I'd say, at least a couple thousand people that attempted to attend. There were so many people there they couldn't get everybody through.
For
And-
little girl,
and-
they could never
yeah.
for the little girl they never met.
And the double rainbow.
Well, and that's
I mean-
it starts. I mean, not, you know,
It's-
there too. The big
The
storm
rainbow.
and the double rainbow over the church during her service, during the song
the
that they were
song,
playing. They were
Come to
playing Maddie's
Jesus.
song, and everything just
Yeah.
and just it's
sign
tough
she's
to be.
given us.
It's tough to have to think that, you know, we had to lose her to see and to
Yeah.
feel all these magical things, and
Do you
it's-
think just God wanted her back, though?
Yeah.
I mean,
I have.
and I don't
Right,
discount
no.
your loss.
No,
I'm not saying
well,
that.
you're not the first
You
person
know
to
my
say
first
that.
thought was, I told Jimmy,
Yeah.
I said at first I said he took her because he saved her from something worse.
Mhm.
And she fell asleep. So they took her phone, Madeline fell asleep.
Mhm.
And she never, I didn't believe him. I had to read it on the death certificate. She never felt anything.
Right.
And to me, that's, I mean, to know they can do so much with phones. I wanted to
Right.
know if she was on Pandora. I wanted to know
Right,
if she was
right.
switching songs.
Right.
You know,
Or
like
something that.
something that she was looking down.
Mhm.
And to find out that.
Mhm.
So she went home on her own. You know, she fell asleep. And
Mhm.
so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and we've talked about that 110 times or more because being in my line of work, and Courtney's got a lot of questions, and
Oh, absolutely.
and she's absolutely right. I mean, they treated that accident like they would any other accident. They made sure that that they didn't look at it and have a biased opinion about who it was.
Right.
They really, like she said, they took her phone, they did an accident reconstruction, they did everything they would normally do, and
And I didn't want it sugarcoated. That was
Right.
I said, I need to know.
Right.
I have to know.
You need to be at peace.
Yeah,
With
and
how her last moments were.
exactly, and
Yeah.
that was my biggest thing.
Right.
The fact that I was so worried she knew.
Mhm.
And as a mom, Nikki, I can't.
You would want to be there.
But she saw. That's what he said. He had to physically, I wouldn't believe it.
She never even applied her brake.
Right.
And that was like,
We
So
know.
God
I
just
mean,
kind of sucked her up.
Took her.
You know, like Elijah in the
and
Bible.
took her.
Time to go.
Beautiful.
Right?
And
She
her
was
prom-
beautiful.
and this beautiful hair, and
Yeah.
her prom dress, and I mean, I'm
Mhm.
just like, she will
Mhm.
forever be perfect.
So what are your days like now, though? I mean, I know you said it's bittersweet. You have different outlook of how you treat others, how you perceive others,
yeah,
you know, day to day. And
It sounds stupid, but every day I live to be a better person for her. I want her to be so proud of me. I say that a lot. I wish she could see me now. But I know she is, and I know she's with me, and the signs she gives me are unbelievable. And she gives me strength every day. I just want my 4 beautiful girls to be good people. I just want them to be kind souls and good to people. That is all I care about. And I think sometimes you have to take a minute to, take a step back. We can only do this, and just, remember where everybody's at. We don't know what shoes others are walking in, ever.
can't judge.
Can't judge. And I believe Maddie, she was with us daily, reminding me of that.
Absolutely. No, I didn't know really. I mean, I've never lost anyone.
Yeah.
I never.
Yeah,
I
what a way to start.
I've never.
Don't
I mean,
come
I
in
never.
slow with the grandparent.
No, I've never lost. I mean, I never knew any.
We
never,
joke around it. That's what, but I mean,
No,
it's like, oh my
I
god.
I've not ever had to experience anything like even remotely close to this. So I wasn't quite sure how I would do my job after going through this with my family and going through it every day and still going through it every day.
Because you still have to knock on doors
I
and
still
say,
I still do. And I think one of the stories that I was telling somebody the other day, they asked me if there's anything how do you do this every day? How do you how do you work in the lab and you do the procedures and you go out and you see this on scene and you take the pictures and you transfer. I mean, you're doing everything. And they asked me, have you had any triggers? Have you had any issues? And I had a prom crash reenactment that I did in Williamsville, and I wasn't sure if I was going to do it or not. Obviously, the last one I did wasn't. It didn't go well. So we went out there. We went ahead and did the prom crash reenactment, and I remember being in the staging area prior to it starting, and the one of the guys in the room said, "There's Maddie's dad," and I started to kind of raise my hand, assuming that they were talking about me. Maybe they were talking about Maddie or something, and I was about ready to raise my hand again and say, "Well, yeah, I'm stepdad," you know what I mean, or whatever. And they said, "No, the girl that dies in the crash today, her name's Maddie." And this was in Williamsville.
No.
And I'm standing there and I'm
This is
like,
right before the golf outing.
yeah, and I said, that's, yeah. So I went ahead and did it, but I got to tell you, they had a
She was blonde.
they had a pretty little girl, and they had her parents.
Jimmy.
Her parents had to read her eulogy in the gym. They had a casket in
So
the
you
gym.
basically had to.
Same identical cars.
You had to relive.
Well, it was tough because when it was my turn to talk, everybody in the gym knew without me even having to
and
tell
they were
them
like,
yet. They were like, "This is gonna go really bad."
Yeah.
They
As he's telling me this in the car, I'm like, how did you walk?
I grabbed the microphone like I always do. I walked to the center of the gym. I looked at the entire student body again, and I said, "Let me tell you the story about our Maddie," and then I just kind of told them, that, and I told the parents. I looked at them and I said, I challenge you guys, to pick your kids up. They've been up all night long. They've been doing everything right. You guys live in a rural area. They could have a 10-minute drive from the high school. And they've been up for
And
30
most
hours straight.
accidents happen within a couple miles of your
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
So I really just.
And they did because of Jimmy.
Well, yeah, and you know, and another thing that Williamsville did too was one of the Courtney's friends said that the money they raised that year for prom, they took it to Maddie's memorial fund and put it in her.
They just
Mindy
Sanders.
That's
just
awesome.
told her about that. So we, I like to think that
Again, she's there.
it's the things that have happened since then. They're just remarkable. And,
You guys are amazing.
well, and I say this all the time, and I mean, the strongest person I know is sitting right next to me. I mean that. I mean,
I think
I don't know how.
you just do it. You have to.
Well,
You know what I mean? You do. You don't have to, but I believe that there's 4 other little people I can't give up on.
Right.
and our 4 daughters are looking at us every day, like, what do we do now?
Right.
Because we've heard it all from everybody. That our marriage is in jeopardy now. Once you lose a kid, you guys,
And
things are going to be.
this to your children.
Oh yeah,
too,
yeah,
because they don't know.
it's
They don't think.
it's.
I mean, because it's interesting because when all that kind of went down with you guys first off, I didn't even know what to say. I think I just sat on the phone.
I remember
with
talking
you.
to you though. No,
I
do,
know,
I remember
but
talking
I
to you.
just I couldn't
You're at the
imagine
funeral
saying
home.
some harsh
What do you say?
word
Yeah.
about what your life is going to be like. That's going to be more negative
Sure.
than it already is.
And it's
When
not
there's
at
a child.
first. What we have found
Yeah.
is that
Well, I will say this, and I don't mean to
Yeah.
interrupt you, but I don't know how some people come up with some of the things they say.
Right.
And, but I can tell you from minute one, I was talking to you a little bit about this in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I felt like I needed to protect the girls from what people may say.
Right.
And I remember being standing next to Maddie's casket with you at the church during the funeral, and a gentleman walks up, and you might remember this, and he says he looks at Gabrielle. This is my oldest daughter, and he looks at Gabby, and he looks at me, and he looks up at Maddie's picture, and he said, everybody, you guys are her sisters, and Gabby's like, yes, I'm her sister, and reached out to shake his hand. He said, well, it looks like God took the prettiest one. And,
Oh, God.
and
I'm glad
and I remember Gabby turning around and looking at me. I looked at him and I said, you know what? I've never,
All you can
I've
do
never
is
heard
say,
that.
all you can do is
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
God bless you.
Right.
God bless you.
And I will say this. I mean, that is probably 0.0001% of the comments that we read.
Right.
no.
99.99% of the people we come in
Right.
contact with have helped us, have carried us through this.
That's
and-
what's been amazing. The
Yes,
community.
yes, and everybody has been
Friends and
so,
family.
absolutely, everybody's just been so awesome to us, and
That's
we're-
why we positive.
we are truly blessed, and
Yeah.
I hate, and that's tough to say.
It
To
is-
say
I can't tell my wife that she's truly blessed because
But I'll say it, and we'll have, and I look at what we have, and because of Maddie, what she's given us, it's, and she
a
has.
different perspective, and
It's a different gift.
and getting back
Yes.
to the donation, I often, in dealing with Gift of Hope for 16 years, I looked at Gift of Hope as, okay, it's called Gift of Hope because somebody receives an organ or some tissue, and you're giving the recipient a gift. That's what, but it's
It's
different.
the other way.
It is the other. I mean,
It's
it is.
completely the
And
other way.
it takes going through this to see that, right?
It's amazing.
It,
It's just
they
like,
said it better. I mean, they changed her story. They changed the ending, and
And they
we are truly blessed to be able to tell Maddie's story and end it with, and she's helped all these people, and she did
15
this.
people in Singapore.
Yeah. It's and doing my job on a daily basis. One thing I've said recently too is that I feel obligated to at least bring it up, start the conversation about donation, because the people that don't get the opportunity to do that,
Right.
I feel bad for them because I know it's helped us. And I know that they might not see that right there in that darkest moment.
Right.
But if they, being time sensitive,
But
you
you're
have
a
to
better
have,
storyteller of that because you've been through
That's,
that.
I mean,
Well,
I don't know how it does it.
and I don't want to, I don't ever want anyone to think that I mean, that this is going to define me.
Right.
You know, and
Right.
like I said, I am light years ahead of this grieving process because I have no clue what it's like to lose, you know, my biological daughter. And I don't know how her or Maddie's dad get through that on a daily basis. I can't comprehend that.
Right.
But at the same time, I want to be able to utilize, you know, what I've been through to maybe facilitate for these families because they may not know. I had sort of an in.
Right.
You know,
right.
I knew how these things were, and I thought, I think this will help. I mean, this may, even if it just gives us just this little bit of something good.
Right.
I mean, then maybe we can hang on to that, and that's been
And we do.
that's been what we've done.
It's like a ripple.
Yeah.
Ripple effect.
It is, and I don't want it to stop. Like, I feel Maddie loved attention. She did. She loved it, and she loved being. I mean, she did. She loved being loud, and she was. I called her my firework. She would just, you know. So I know she loves it, and that's
why I think
you know.
too that her loss is so. I mean, it's so palpable. I mean, in our home, I mean, her
you don't
void.
know why one day you're sad, you know, and that's. It hurts to cry. Some days I wish I could wake up and not be sad.
But I don't know if you're ever going to have that.
I don't think I will again, and I'm okay, and I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning that it's okay to be okay. But it's still hard. It's like.
And to think that you've come as far as you've come in just 18 months.
And I'm proud of you for sitting here and talking.
It's the first. Yeah, I haven't.
Because I know this is very difficult
Sure.
for you, and you haven't been able to do that
You
as
know,
publicly. So
I feel, you know, I just. It's hard because I have a lot to say. It doesn't always come out right
Well,
away.
and looking, I remember you telling me a week after we lost her that the best part of your day was first wake up.
And I thought that I didn't remember.
Those first 3 or 4 seconds
when
you're
you
not
don't
awake
remember,
yet, you know, and then all of a sudden it's like it's like someone just, you know, like you said, just it hits like this is really real. I mean,
Now
this really, it really did happen. And that first 3 or 4 seconds when we wake up was the best part of your day.
Right.
You know, and
Like I got out and I would go downstairs and I wake my girls up every morning.
yeah. And to think that where you are now, to where, I mean, and to hearing those, when you would tell me those things initially, I was so worried, you know, and I was so scared, you know, what are we gonna do? What are our girls gonna do? How are we gonna get through this?
Because it's not only losing Maddie, but are we going to lose
Right.
And you know, I don't know. I think that, like I said, by everybody else being there for me, and in this crazy world, to me, it's just amazing. It's amazing. There's still some really good people.
There's a lot of good people.
And it's so neat in our little area to see that. And I know that's people are probably like, what? But it's those little things. I mean, people look at me like I say these things, and people are like,
No,
you know, and I'm like,
we have been truly blessed with the amount of people that have come out to tell us how much, and then we still love hearing stories about Maddie, or they've seen a rainbow.
Right.
That's my favorite.
We say it all the time. Her name is not a cuss word in our house.
Right.
It's okay to say her name.
Right.
And when people come up to us, sometimes they'll say, "I'm sorry about," and they're
Yeah.
kind of creepy. And I tell her name was Maddie.
Well, and
You know, so
and
you
that
can
brings
see
up a
it.
good point. So people see you now. They see you in the grocery store. They see you whatever.
Right.
I mean, how do they approach you? How do they
Now,
say, because because people don't know, do I say I'm sorry? Are you having a good day? Do I bring it up? I don't want to make
the
you
Walking
sad.
Dead walk
Yeah.
for 6 months.
Yeah.
The death walk.
Right.
They sort of,
And
as
then
they're
they
getting closer
stare.
to you, they curl up and they really don't know what
Right,
to say.
You're
Right.
like,
And they truly do
Yes.
want to say hi, and they want to know how you're doing, and but like you said, they don't know how to
Are you
ask.
having a good day?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't
I've
wanna,
been that. I was
yeah.
that person. You know, that's what we say. We were that,
Yeah.
you know, and then we used to say a lot too, we really didn't know anybody that lost a
Yeah.
child. Not anyone that we really
Right.
knew. I mean, you're a provider, you deal with it every day, but did you not anyone that
Yeah.
you saw? I mean, Madeline, she was a baby when I started at Coquina.
Yeah.
Literally, these girls, you know, grew up.
So somebody sees you in the grocery store after seeing this. What can they say to you?
Anything. I hope they say that I'm having a better day, or I'm gonna try to let it go. Let it go, and you know it's gonna be okay. That's what I hope. That's what we tell our girls. It's gonna be okay. You be positive. You have to be.
Yeah, and the alternative, and we talk about it all the time, is you know we is not acceptable.
Right.
You know, so, we're gonna be strong. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna walk this walk. We're gonna carry this
And we're
cross.
gonna do it all together.
And absolutely,
Exactly.
and I've described it
As a family, as a community, as our friends.
And I told this when I told this this lady said something about losing her child, and we were talking at church one day, and she said it's going to get better, and just make sure Courtney knows that. And
I didn't like her that day.
well, no.
I didn't want her
But-
cards.
but
I didn't
the
want
way-
her books.
The way she described it, she said it's like having an elephant. Initially, it's like having an elephant on your chest. You can't breathe. You don't know what to do. You're not going to be able to survive this. They're sitting on your chest. And then it's not that the elephant ever goes away. It's still there. It's just that your legs and your body get strong enough to carry it around. with you. And no one knows that huge elephant is on your back now. And people that you don't know or don't know what you've been through
Right.
and that's what we try to tell our girls now too. You know, you have no clue what that person in front of you at the grocery store line just dealt with yesterday, maybe.
Right.
Just
Sometimes it's not about you.
right.
And I had to learn that. I'm
Right.
a girl.
Right.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, you have to.
We're all guilty of that, you know. And I just like Courtney said. I think you know in having our girls be good people and have them be successful and have them not utilize Maddie's passing as a crutch. And I want them to be their own person. I never want them, and they never would forget about their sister. They never would. But I don't want them to utilize that as something that they think that would that make their life easier. You know, by
And that's what she would want.
right, right.
You know, and that's how we look at that. That's not.
Well, I hope that as this ripple effect continues, right, that people think about Gift of Hope,
Absolutely.
that the word is kind of spread, parents pick up their kids from prom. You know, I mean, I think there's so many little things.
Just
you
kiss
know,
them goodnight.
yeah, and you know what? See people in the grocery store, and if they're having a bad day, give them a hug.
Yeah.
Say hi.
I mean, just say hi.
If you
right,
see
all
someone,
those
hi.
positive things. I really hope you have the golf outing, but if you don't, let me say this. No, I'll throw this out there. I'm actually having a really big 50th birthday party in April.
In 10 or 15 years?
Yes.
Next April.
Okay.
God love you,
Yes.
Jimmy. But I would propose at that 50th birthday party, we're going to have a big bash, and we can just use that as a big get-together, fundraiser and donations, and we do that.
I would love that.
So that way you don't have so much work to do.
You
You can come and have fun.
Well,
you can come and have fun.
that means a lot. Thank you.
Yes.
And I can honestly tell you that we're so happy to be able to give something back to these people that have given so much to us since this has happened. So everything that we took from the golf outing, we put in more in Boynton State Bank, and like I said, we stacked everything up in CDs that'll mature over the next 5 years.
That's all right. You can do with a little more.
Yes, but
We love the
Yeah.
girls.
I know it'll help. Is what I'm trying to
Yeah,
do.
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
The cheer is very expensive. So
Yeah.
tell them, like,
Well, no, we had an odd amount, so we stacked up the CDs in $1,000 increments, and we had some money left over. And I've told the cheer coaches that There's still some there.
That's great.
And then, and some of the kids, because cheer is expensive. If the
Oh,
parents,
yeah, I have one.
$800 or $900.
Right, I have
by the end
one
of
for
the season.
shoes and uniforms.
parents are having a
Yeah.
tough time getting through, or they need competition cash or something, just to give us a call. And we want them to know that without Maddie giving what she
Right.
gave, that this wouldn't have been possible. And
Paying
it's
it
coming from
forward.
Maddie.
It's coming from Maddie.
Absolutely. You're paying it
Paying it
forward.
forward.
So that's,
You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Wow.
you. This has been fun.
Thanks, Doc.
Yes.
Jimmy! My Jimmy!
I know, and yeah, you and I were just friends.
Yeah. No, I
Oh,
know.
that's what she
Jimmy
said.
and I go way back. That's all I'm
Yes,
gonna
we
say.
do. Yes, we do.
All right. So what we're gonna do is, after I post this, we're gonna put a link for Gift of Hope,
Oh, awesome.
and then is there a link
Saving
to
Sight.
Saving Sight?
Yes, because
and
it's
then-
donation month. So this would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
is there any link for Maddie's fund at the bank?
Not at the bank. It's we don't have any type of PayPal or anything
Okay.
like that.
No, that's fine. Just
Yeah, we
it's-
tell them to go
it's
to
just-
Warren
it's
State
just-
or mail something to Warren
It's,
All right.
State
yes,
Bank.
it's
or-
more
you let me know, and
That's
we'll
it.
have an address. So if somebody feels so moved, they can be moved to do so.
Well,
And if you see Jimmy and Courtney in the grocery store, give them a hug.
yes, please.
Don't say
I-
I'm sorry.
I am a hugger. I never turned down a hug.
Yeah, give them a hug,
And it's always okay to tell people hi.
yeah, pay it forward,
Pay it forward.
shine.
Shine.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
very
you.
much
I
so.
appreciate it.
Thank